We're on.
Right.
It's
Looks
now
like we're going.
live.
We're live.
So I will.
Welcome, everybody.
Kia ora.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, for meeting our needs, IT needs.
There we go, all sorted.
Awesome. Okay, welcome everybody to this subcommittee hearing with the transfer of building consent authority functions is the item on the agenda. Hey, what I'll do is I'll just whip around and if everyone just introduces themselves for the record, and perhaps if I go first and then Amanda, and then we'll go to Zoom. So Andrew Noon, I'm chair of the subcommittee hearing today.
I'm Amanda Keach, I'm executive assistant. I was taking the notes today.
Kia ora.
Kate.
Kia ora, I'm Kate Wilson. I'm councillor and on the hearings panel today.
Charles.
Hello, I'm Charles Horrell. I'm a consultant from Boffamiska, and I'm assisting Otago Regional Council in facilitating the transfer of building consent authority functions.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. I don't think I need to run through any health and safety issues in light of our proximity and etc. We're all in different places, and we all understand what we've got to do in that case. So we've pretty much dealt with the opening and introduction. So perhaps, Charles, if we just go to you, and if you'd just like to give a brief outline of the process thus far, and any things that you need to make Kate and myself aware of, and then maybe a question or two. No,
that sounds good. So I suppose to also give a bit of a brief outline on myself. So I did, prior to leaving Otago Regional Council, I did work in the Building Consent Authority team for about 5 years. So I processed a number of the building consents and helped maintain the accreditation. So I do have a bit of a technical understanding of the processes and that sort of thing. But I suppose to give a brief overview of the functions. So we've been a building consent authority since 2008 on behalf of West Coast and Southland. The transfer agreements are due to expire in June next year, and with that, consideration was given to whether ORC continue as a building consent authority. The decision was made at the council meeting in July to commence the consultative process for the proposal to transfer those functions to ECAN. That was on the basis of efficiencies and cost. The consultation process started in August and ended in early September. During that period, we didn't actually receive any submissions. This hearing would have been to consider submissions, but in light of that, we'll just be considering the statement of proposal. What else have I got here? So you did have a question over there on numbers of dams. So I did a bit of a look. There's been, since 2013, there's been 18 large dams constructed or that are under construction. There was a spike in 2013, 2014, but generally there's been around 2 dams constructed per year between the 3 regions. Yeah, I suppose that's probably a nice prelude into it. If you have any further questions from the statement or anything else, I'm happy to assist there as well.
Cool, cool. Can I just check with Kate the background that Charles has given with regards to what the numbers and what's ahead of us or whatever? Does that sort of help to clarify to a certain degree? I know it's a wee bit of crystal ball gazing or whatever, but
Yeah, well, I presume these have to be reviewed at periods or not. I'm not sure about that, or if there are earthquakes or anything. So what was feeding this is, I totally get the 2 years. It just didn't talk about the forward work and if any of these have to be either reviewed, or if there were a major earthquake, do all of them have to then be reviewed, and what sort of tension that would put on a workload if it was all with ECAN? So that's just in that, you know, overarching sort of thought. And the only other question that came out from that, only for the matter of record, because I'm sure it's covered off, is what happens if ECAN were thinking the same way? And again, it's not covered in the report, but I'm sure there have been discussions along that line.
Yeah.
Should we be taking over ECAN would be the alternative that wasn't in the report.
Yeah, I had a similar question, and I was going to ask Charles about, you know, what happens if ECAN say no, or where are the discussions at? It would be good just to understand, you know, how far along the way those discussions are. But Charles, we're back in your hands.
I guess starting with that question over review or potential, say, for earthquakes or something to trigger a review of the dams. I guess there's two matters there. The first one, which I suppose isn't part of this transfer, is around dam safety. So that's the safe integrity of a dam after it's constructed. So currently there isn't actually any regulations under the Building Act for dam safety. So essentially, once the dam is constructed, that is where the building consent authority's functions stop. So they don't continue to, say, monitor the dam. It is the dam owner's responsibility to ensure that it meets the building code, but there's no ongoing, say, review of dams from when they're constructed. That's probably more of a national government issue, and I think at this stage there has been some looking into dam safety and how that's best managed. Currently, that's managed through resource consents with water permits, so we'd still be retaining that sort of side of things. In terms of dams being upgraded, say, from an earthquake or similar sort of issue, then that would be a spike. But again, it is quite difficult to anticipate without, say, an event occurring.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. It was just the what ifs that I always like to consider.
Yes.
And if this was, but your answer does ask, if that's through you, Mr. Chairman, the awareness. So if someone puts in a large dam, that's consented, and that's the end of the matter as far as I'm concerned, as far as this legislation goes, in theory.
That's right. Yes, unless there was a matter of if we were to find, say, that the dam wasn't meeting the building code. But I suppose at this stage, there's no ongoing reporting on that sort of thing. It's very much based on complaints or similar. So the second question there in relation to ECAN's willingness. So conversations have been ongoing, and we're currently in discussions with them around the specifics of the agreement. They are willing to take over, and they're happy to do that. There was a question over these certificates of acceptance, which were initially proposed to be transferred, but have since been agreed that would be best retained with the regional council, being a non-building consent authority function. We should be not too far from getting to full agreement on, say, the deed and that sort of thing, which would come to council should they agree to transfer. If ECAN were to decide that they also wish to transfer their functions, then yes, it would come back to us needing to decide again if we're to take it back or if we're to transfer again to a different region. But at this stage, they are willing to continue for the foreseeable future.
Okay, I know that sounds good. I haven't got any other queries other than should the proposal have a signature at the tail end, because it's sort of as it covers off all the steps along the way, and then it outlines public consultation submissions, and then talks about, you know, how to make a submission. Obviously, that's a part of sort of a standard A4 or whatever. And I just wondered, it probably should have someone's signature on it or not, and a date. It's actually got a date on it, sorry, at the front.
Yes. I may need to just check with Peter Kelleher on that, on the requirements of the statement.
It was advertised under our letterhead, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. So it's, I suppose,
I think we own it.
Yes, that's right. So I suppose it's a council document. It's essentially, it's similar to, say, a section 32. Yes, exactly. A plan change sort of document there.
So that would, yeah, okay, yeah, and that would probably be sufficient. Yeah, like yeah, as you say, it is. Yeah, as you say, Kate, it is branded on the front page. And then, yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, look, hey, I'm comfortable with that.
And sorry, just one last question, again, coming out of the conversation we've just had, and I'm sorry, I should have highlighted it earlier. Is this going to be effective as of June 2021, or is it going to be effective as soon as with the deed that is signed, and therefore we're going to cancel our commitment to West Coast and Environment Southland? How does that, it's just getting that in my head.
Yes.
Again, for the record, rather than anything else.
So I guess it would come down to, so there would be a transition period of passing documents over. There are still a number of applications in the system. In theory, we would be looking to, if it's approved, transfer as soon as practical. Environment Southland and West Coast are also in similar discussions. In fact, they're at a very similar stage. At the absolute last date, it would be to take over from, say, June 2021. But if it can be earlier, then that would be what we'd be planning to do.
Right.
It would come down to Environment Canterbury and their ability to take those on as well. They may wish to have a bit more of a time to take them over.
Great.
Okay. So that probably covers off A, B, and C. In terms of the conclusion and next steps, perhaps I'll just read out suggested way forward, and we can have a chat and see whether everyone's comfortable or these suggested recommendations need tweaked. I'll pass these over to you in a moment, Amanda. So the first one is, as per the statement of proposal, the hearings panel recommends that the Otago Regional Council transfers all of its building consent authority functions to Environment Canterbury relating to any dam proposal that meets the definition of a large dam as defined in the Building Act 2004. Number two.
Can we just take the word all out of that? Because I think if we've got as per the order paper, then the word all doesn't need to be there.
So transfers its building consent authority functions?
Yeah, as per, well, you might want to put as per the order paper and, oh, sorry, as per the statement of proposal in there, actually, instead of the, I'm sorry, I haven't been sending emails in the right timing, but if he's.
So at the moment, it's got, in the second line there, it's got council transfers all of its building consent authority functions. So you're saying take out all. Yeah. And then put, and so the council transfer as per the order, as per the statement of proposal in there, instead of the word all. And that just gets rid of that. In the statement of proposal, there was a I see. I got you.
A good list of what has been transferred and what isn't, and then it just keeps it in that format.
Okay. So the hearings panel recommends that the Otago Regional Council transfers all of the statement of proposal.
Transfer as per the statement of proposal.
Oh, sorry, you go back to the start, righto. Transfers as per the statement of proposal, it's building consent authority function to Environment Canterbury, et cetera,
Yep. Sorry,
Sorry.
that's my fault for not getting back to you.
No, that, you're got much better skills when it comes to wordsmithing.
Oh.
Are you right with that, Amanda?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Are you comfortable, Charles?
Yes, no, that sounds good. Agree, and it would be consistent with those listed items there as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Righto. So number 2, the panel note that smaller dams that do not meet the definition of a large dam do not require building consent. However, these smaller dams must still comply with the building code in accordance with section 17 of the Act. This function is retained by council along with certificate of acceptance applications.
Yes, maybe also just looking at the other ones there as well, there would also be the project information memorandum applications. So maybe certificate of acceptance and project information memorandum applications. So project information memorandum is an application for essentially a hazards assessment. Since being a BCA, we haven't received any formal applications. Applicants tend to find that information from our hazards database.
Okay. So just to check, there are no other functions that we should be mentioning in that paragraph that are being retained, just for clarity when we're talking about the requirements under the Building Act associated with smaller dams.
No. There is another listed item there, being the dangerous dams policy, the classification of dams and that sort of thing, which comes into, say, dam safety. However, as I mentioned, the regulations are yet to come in for dam safety, so they don't take effect as of yet.
Okay, cool. Okay, moving on to 3, the panel note, due to the cost of accreditation, maintaining policies and procedures and systems vastly outweighs time spent processing applications. Efficiencies will be gained by transferring the processing of large dam applications to ECAM.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 4, the panel note that the ORC have followed an appropriate public process as set out in section 245 for the transfer of the BCA function. Okay. And then the last one is the recommendation for the panel will be considered by council on the 28th of October 2020. Is that, or is it better not to have the date just in case? Or it definitely will happen, because we've already set that out in the statement of proposal, haven't we?
Yes, yes, we have 28th of October. I think we there is actually there's a footnote to just say that is a tentative date, just with council meetings. But at the moment, that's the date that is in there.
Okay.
Another thought maybe whether there needs to whether there could be any mention that there were no submissions received following the consultation process.
Yep.
No, good point. So comfortable just to leave the date by the sound of that?
Or such later date as it comes to council.
By council, just at a later date.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Yep. Because then it essentially aligns with the statement of proposal then where there is some flexibility.
Mm.
Yep. And the comment about no submissions,
Do that in the first line.
Picked up in the early stage here in the commentary, probably better, wouldn't it?
Mm.
In the introduction of the actual process thus far, there should be just no submissions were received through the public process, something along those lines.
You just notes, yeah.
schools.
Cool. Thanks.
So I think that probably concludes the formal hearing process, subcommittee hearing process. Are there any other matters that we should?
But you're going to move, and I'll second that motion.
We should have a formal recommendation to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'll move, seconded by Kate.
Aye.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Charles.
Amanda, thank you, Charles. Thank you, Kate. Enjoy the rest of the day. Stay warm, safe.
Thank you. We'll
So-
try.
Cheers.
See ya. Bye.
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 How do we do this?